We thought there would be some bad blood. We thought there would be some different energy going into this one for two reasons. One, rematch of Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. The Edmonton Oilers had not been in sunny Sunrise, Florida since then, 8 months and 3 days ago. But who's counting, right? Definitely not me. We knew that would be an aspect. We also knew the Oilers staring down the barrel of a 5-game losing streak that they should be, and forgive the pun, digging in deep here. And from the get-go, both teams had the intensity. Everything was fired up. The crowd could feel it. There was physical shifts. There was big hits. We got a fight a couple minutes into the game. My predictions were on fire on pre-gaming because I said Brett Kulak would eat pucks. Also said Corey Perry would get in the scrap. Did not take very long, but it was everybody out there to start this one. Leon Draisaitl, you could tell, had a different energy in him, always pushing back after hits. He did take a penalty early on in the game, which I thought was soft as baby shit, Chris Rooney, but maybe you are the captain of the Florida Panthers. I kid. What did you think, at least? We'll start maybe for the first 40 minutes of this hockey game, because we had said it. That was the best they had looked in a very long time. They were competing. They were in this hockey game. Stuart Skinner was looking good. First 40 minutes, we were in this hockey game, Coomzy.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we said before the game, we all talked about this, is that even though you're coming into this game against a Stanley Cup caliber opponent on a losing streak, playing terribly, given the context and the emotions around playing against the Panthers with the Stanley Cup last year and all that it might bring something out of the Oilers. And I thought that they at least played a better game than they did in Tampa, Philadelphia, Washington by a pretty wide margin. Like, there was obviously things to not like about that game. They did wind up losing, of course, 4-3. There was, a handful of things that didn't go right, but it wasn't a lifeless performance like we've seen in the past handful of games. They did match the energy. They did at least rise to it this game and show up and play that playoff atmosphere.
Then it's been a theme lately for the Edmonton Oilers, right? Second periods have just been awful for the Oilers. Against Philadelphia, they allowed 4 goals in the second. Against Washington, they allowed 3. Against Tampa Bay, they allowed 2. Positives, they only allowed 1 in the second period because they continued to let it ride along, right? Felt like they've been out of every game come to the third period. We had good vibes, good energy going into that final 20. And then, before you know it, man, they just decide to have their meltdown in the third period instead. There's a miscue on the pinch along the blue line on the Nate Schmidt goal, right? And we called it from a mile away, and it pains me to say it. But when you saw that Evan Bouchard and John Klingberg were the two that were defending an odd man rush going the other way, seconds before we went, oh no, that's not going to end well. And before you know it, it's in the back of the Edmonton Oilers net. Then you get a bad bounce on the Carter Verhaeghe goal. Just look at this thing. Like, you can see it from a mile away. I want Stuart Skinner to make that save. I thought he was good in this game. Gave him a chance, competed. We'll get into it in just a moment. But once again, where you need the big stop, and he had a clear line of sight. That guy's licking his paws. Great celebration. But, man, did that piss me off in this moment. So you have this one, and then the next one, right? It's just a bad, unlucky, no puck luck type of bounce for Carter Verhaeghe. And before you know it, this game, completely out of the Edmonton Oilers' hands. Felt like a similar thing. It's slipping out of it pretty fast or pretty abruptly just because of errors, mistakes, self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because they did play a good 40 minutes, and we hadn't seen them string together 20 good minutes, let alone 40 good minutes in the past week. So it felt nice to watch the Oilers put together that first 2 periods. And then it was unfortunate that it was, I'd say both those 2 goals in the third period were soft goals you'd rather, you think the goalie should save them, especially the 4th goal there that Florida scored that wound up being the game winner. It's an unfortunate way for things to come unraveled after how well things went for the first 2/3 of the game. And
specifically with one Stuart Skinner, right? I'm loving that the chat, you guys are being level-headed, I think is the word I'm going to use here for this, because thank you, Brett. Stuart Skinner in this game dialed in from the get-go. He needed a big performance, not only against anybody, but especially against a good team, and a team where he lost in this building 8 months and 3 days ago. He held his own on an early Florida power play, was making great saves, great rebound control, locked in, looked like the Stuart Skinner that we saw in the Stanley Cup Finals last year in June. He had huge saves in dangerous areas. Kind of felt like every chance that Florida was getting was a high danger opportunity, and there was men in front of the net where Stuart Skinner sometimes had to make a second or a third save. He battled hard in this game. I would argue for, once again, the first 4 minutes, anything that Stuart Skinner could see, he was stopping, right? The 2 first goals, their deflections. The Lundell goal was just That was just beautiful. That was just well executed in everything. The first one, I believe, bounces off of Brett Kulak in some way. Stuart Skinner held there for like 1,000, 1,000. He had no idea where that puck was. Stu continued to compete in this game, and it sucks because you look at his stat line, right? 32 saves, 36 shots for an .889 save percentage. But once again, it's kind of just when you need the big one, you need that difference-making save. Stuart Skinner wasn't there in the third period. But it was better, Coomzy. I'm trying to be positive here.
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking the glass half full approach, it's that this is better than what we've seen in the past week or so. Through most of February, the latter part of February, it's an improvement from that. So that's positive to go up against the Panthers, who are a good opponent, and put forward a good effort. But still, we can't really look at this game and say, oh yeah, Stuart Skinner was locked in. He was excellent. He allowed 4 goals, and it is part of why the Oilers lost this game. Is 2 goals he probably should have had in the third period. Meanwhile, Bobrovsky was rock solid in the third.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.